2,520.
We loaded the bus and delivered it on Tuesday. The fourth graders were on food for thought with Tom Long talking about the food show.
And the news came and did a story on this, so we'd like you to show it.
All right. I bet you would, but. That's it.
Decorated the commons of our Christmas tree and to add a little more cheer in the hallways, but it is now being in the gym for the concert tonight, so that's why it's out on the hallway. Along with the food drive, the winning grade at the high school is the 7th grade, so they'll be getting a reward as well. And we just didn't have as much fire as the elementary school kids, but I guess it works in our favor with Mr. Bushy also getting pied. So.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Appreciate your effort.
Good job. Okay, just introductions real quick.
Yep.
I'm Rinda Mallon.
I'm Tessa Manke.
And I'm Genevieve Brewer.
Good job.
All right, thanks, ladies.
Moving on to 6.0 finance, 6.1 the fund balance report. Superintendent Self. Okay, in your packet is the fund balance report as we provide monthly for you. Not a lot of significant change. Just reminding that of the general fund budget, our balance, fund balance, about 1.7, 1.8 of that is unreserved. And the rest of it is pretty consistent with what we had last month, and comparing to a year ago, pretty consistent with that as well.
We are going to be looking at a deficit in food service again, right?
Yeah, it is going to come back.
Okay.
Yep. We're guessing right now, Mike, but we definitely will. Yep. On that note, some real strong talk at the state level that that might be something that the legislature takes on. I think they're kind of holding out that, hoping the feds will take it on, but if they don't, then maybe the state will take that on.
All right. At one point, there was a report that came out with that had the percentages of like our yearly totals to date. Would it be possible to include that one again?
That's the one I looked at.
As we're going on, I like that one just to get an overall viewpoint as well.
Yep.
All right. Moving on, item 6.2 is the approval of budget revisions as presented.
So you already saw this document in the truth and taxation. In June, you approved a preliminary budget prior to me arriving, and between June and currently, Joan and Tina have we've got better numbers around our enrollment, which drives the bulk of our revenue, obviously, and then on our expenditures. And again, the bulk of our expenditures are staffing. As you can recall, through the 3 or 4 months since school started, almost every board meeting we've approved another para. So that's driven a little bit of our expense side of things. But the new numbers there are presented, and we would ask for approval of the budget as presented here on December 20th, 2022. And maybe before that motion, knowing that we will probably make another adjustment sometime yet before the end of the fiscal year as well. These are the best numbers that we have currently.
Thank you, Superintendent Self. Any questions regarding that? I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve the
revised budget for
amount.
2022, 2023. I'll make that motion.
Also.
All right, we have a motion by Director Ware, seconded by Director Marcus to approve the budget revisions as presented. Is there any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is approved. Moving on, item 6.3, approval of the ICS proposal.
We have a Kellyanne Behrens who will join us now. Callie, if you can hear me.
Wait, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me okay?
Again, we'd like to see you too, though.
Oh, you want to see me? I'm in my car, but I can do that.
As an accident.
There we go.
There you are.
Hi.
Oh. At this point in time, we reviewed your initial proposal for a scope of work that really concentrated mostly on the 1937 edition. We did that with some board members here, maybe a month ago or so. from those discussions, Kellyanne, there was some talk about maybe expanding that scope of your proposal. And
Right.
so we're kind of here today to maybe hear a little bit more about more specifically, what your proposal will provide us. And then if we chose to expand that, what you would need and what we need to move that forward.
Okay, so right now my proposal covers the 1937 portion. We're doing assessment of the existing mortar. I believe it was ICS that contacted and mentioned that I don't believe that building, the mortar has had anything done with it since it was built. So we've also included in our proposal to test the mortar to see, you know, if it's just surface deterioration or if it's gone further back into the joint. That's what the, in our proposal further down, that's what the additional service or compensation is for. It's for the contractor to actually test it. Our services include coming up there, we'll walk the area of the 1937 building, looking at the mortar, looking at the existing joint sealant, the condition of the bricks and all the wall surfaces. We'll put together, you know, a proposal listing, you know, what the different deficiencies are, you know, if the mortar's bad and needs to be replaced, you know, it was mentioned to us that you guys are looking to replace the glass block because it's deteriorating and just the existing look of the building. So we would list that as an item to be replaced. Then we go through and we give you guys a cost estimate. It is a cost estimated based on our experience. It's not like a contractor, you know, specific. So it's for budgeting purposes. And it gets us close. We usually give a rounded up number and kind of a range. So that way you guys know what to budget for. And then we give the recommendation, you know, it would be like for the glass block, we were going to do two different ones, either replacing it with metal panels, I believe, or with an EFIS or an EIF system. And that way you guys would kind of have the opportunity to look at what the two different costs would be and choose which way you wanted to go with replacing those glass block. Now, if you want to expand it, I mean, we've done the same thing with a whole entire school a lot, where we walk the whole building and we look at, you know, the sealant, the joints and the brick and around the windows. We can look at if we notice any like condensation in your windows where the seals have gone bad on your windows, or just the general condition of the mortar, brick, and sealant. It kind of depends on what you guys want us to do. And then if we do the whole building, which isn't as, you know, deteriorated as the 1937, we could, a lot of times we'll give the recommendations in like year periods where we'll say, okay, in the next 1 to 2 years, you know, stuff that needs to be addressed immediately, these are the deficiencies, our recommendations, and the cost for that. And then we might jump to 5 years and then 10 years. So it kind of gives you guys a budget. I mean, we've even done it for schools where, you know, they wanted 20 years, we think. And then you get into some of the bigger things where if you're looking to replace doors or windows or tuck pointing the full building. But
Can you, Kellyanne, can you make recommendation on roofing? On roofs?
we can. Yes, we do. We have a roofing department. They could come up with us as well, or with me, and yeah, they can look at your roof. They can, you know, look for any, you know, visible ponding or any deteriorations up there. We have the ability to do infrared cameras. I don't know how well it'll work this time of year because you have to have a swing in temperature where it heats up during the day and then it cools at night. But the infrared would show if you had any wet insulation underneath your roofing. But yes, we can do roofing as well.
Okay.
Kellyanne, just to clarify too, are you with Inspect?
Yes.
You are, okay. I'm sorry, it was listed as ICS proposal, but I recall they were proposing your company to come in to do these changes here, or the proposal, so.
Great.
On just a little background as far as the LTFM committee, we had discussed with ICS the possibilities in regards to getting some options for the 37 building, because something needs to be done there. Been dragging our feet for long enough on it, and we just need to. We're looking at having inspect come in, do an evaluation, give us some different options as far as roads that we can go down. Expanding on it, as far as past the 37 structure, there was a couple areas that we toured last spring maybe, that needed some attention in the 97 edition as well. So I'm not sure how much, if we're looking at an entire building scope, or we had just, I think we may have done that here recently, the past infrastructure, or we just focus on the 37, I guess.
Well, I think that part of the LTFM meeting, we uncovered or realized a little more closely that we have roofing concerns as well moving forward that we really have not planned for. But some of them were dated where we should be planning for them almost currently. If not currently, we could maybe kick the can a year or so, but we'll have to address those as well. And what I recall from the conversation that evening was, do we want Inspect to not only do what they presented, but maybe grow it a little bit? Now, how much it's wanted to be growing is really a board decision.
Kellyanne, Director Ware. So with the proposal that you had in place, and I know basically it's the brick and the joints and stuff like that, when you give some other estimates or whatever going forward for repairs, are we looking at like an ethos? Would that be part of the whole building or just that glass block area, plus lentils, all that kind of stuff?
I believe it is just the glass block. It would be removed and then replaced. The lintels, if they're above there, we would address those at the time if they need to be replaced, or just, ground out if there's rust on them. I don't know the condition of them, but yeah, and it was just to replace the window areas. It wasn't a proposal to reskin the whole building in eaves.
And I think that direction, I think that direction came from Jason at the time. And I think when we met is like, well, maybe we're too narrow here on what we should be looking at. I mean, I think we can certainly start with the 37. I mean, we can grow it.
Well, we got stucco up there that's, it's got moisture behind it. Then you start looking over here, you can stucco on the gym and some of the east side, or, that should get inspected because it's getting caulk on that before we get moisture behind it. So, I mean, I do think we need to expand that, so, but.
Where does it end?
Well, that might be just a quick LTFM thing again to expand, but how
Exactly.
Are we trying to move forward tonight with a proposal to accept it? Or?
I think more tonight was from the LTFM that there was questions. There was questions about exactly what we'd get delivered to us, what kind of a report, what kind of recommendations we'd get, would there be some cost estimates with that? We learned that there would be, but the discussion was going to happen tonight at the board meeting, so that's why I invited Kellyanne to join us.
That's great.
So I don't think necessarily action tonight is what we're looking for, but an opportunity to interact with Kellyanne, clear up some things, and probably, which would produce another LTFM meeting somewhere here after the first year.
Roughly, Kellyanne, like a stucco inspection, when you do your estimate for billing on that or how you proposal, is that a square foot thing or is it based on all?
Yeah, it is. It's based on a square foot cost to replace it. Most of them are either square foot or lineal foot. With the sealants, it's usually lineal foot. Tuck pointing can be lineal or square foot. So, you know, we give you kind of a lump sum for all of those. I guess it depends on how much you guys want it broken down. We've even had clients where they want to know exactly what it's going to be, you know, through the different divisions, and we can work with a contractor. We pay them a small fee, and they give us more of a bid, so it gets you guys a little bit more of a breakdown, so you can kind of see much more exactly what it's going to cost.
So adding more square footage for your inspection, is that, how do you base that from your proposal on for as far as costs?
It is a little bit, you know, we kind of figure out how many hours it's going to take us to do that. You know, if it's just a small building, I mean, we still have the drive up there and back, so that's one piece that, you know, isn't going to change. But yeah, it's the amount of hours on site, and then the amount of hours also a little bit back in the office looking at existing drawings and determining all the square footages, so that way we know what to calculate for repair costs.
So my takeaway from that, Kellyanne, would be for us to more clearly define what we want you to look at, and provide some square footages or lineal feet of some of those areas that we would like you to look at in addition to what you've already proposed. And then you write some numbers back to us.
And I wouldn't necessarily even need any square footage, as if you have a lot of times you can take a snap from Google Earth or something, and you could draw the area around in the building and say, I want you to look at these areas or something, you know.
Okay. And then with that information, you would turn around and adjust your current proposal accordingly. True?
Exactly. Yes, we redefine the scope where we're looking, and then the fee would adjust accordingly. And same thing if you want to, you know, more detailed, if you want this, the 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, it's just, we can do whatever will help you guys the most. We just need to know what that is.
I think another LTFM meeting to define our focus and then get that information and get it turned back.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, any other questions for Kellyanne? Be assured that I will be in contact with you here.
Okay.
Hopefully before the holiday, which means tomorrow or Thursday, at least to just communicate kind of our schedule of how we're going to provide information to you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, we're good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good evening. Bye.
You too. Happy holidays.
Do we need to do anything?
I don't really think we
On.
No, I think it's
Just
just,
take any action on it? All right, moving on. 6.4, the approval of the Baird financial proposal.
Mike, you're back on.
I'm
Mike,
with
you there?
Yep.
Okay. We'll turn it to you.
So I believe Superintendent Selk shared with you a 2-page proposal talking about a package that we've used with a dozen school districts. We finally refer to this as operational budget assistance. It's a model that we've built. We call it OBA. It's a model that we've built that allows us to assist districts in looking. What we try to do is we look at how you're expending your money to 6 other comparable school districts, preferably in your region, but maybe some around the state that we know are doing less with more, so to speak, or doing more with less, I should say. With that, this model is kind of kicks off in that we compare in 7 different areas. So if you look at your per pupil, if you had constituents or you as board members look at the Minnesota report card online at the department, of Education, you can see various spending categories. We break those spending categories and take about 7 of those spending categories, such as operating capital, district administration, school administration, regular instruction, so on and so forth. And we take this model and kind of compare how you spend your money to these other comparable districts. And then the package moves forward and says, okay, we need to discover, we need that big, from that 30,000 foot look, we then say, okay, everybody, even though we're all under the UFAR system, Uniform Accounting System, set forth MD, not everybody records their entries the same. For instance, a user group about 4 years ago, put together by the governor, there were, I believe there were 11 different schools represented in this user group, and they all had an on-site safety officer, whether the county or city in their respective school districts was helping them with that. And 11 districts, 11 places they were in the UFAR system coded that person different. We all knew they had a safety officer, but they coded them in different areas. So that deep dive then says, hey, how are you coding versus those comparables, and how does that look to how you're spending your money versus others? And really what it is meant to do then is to say, hey, this is a really deep dive in your budget. It's a tool that we hope then you can use to say, okay, this is where we're spending money very efficiently, and this is where we're not, and we can improve. Some ideas come out of this where, okay, in other districts, we have this money being spent, or this person's coded part-time to community ed. We can pick this up with this. We had one institution that out of the seven districts, they had a cleaning service, custodial service that they were guaranteed 9 people, and each of the districts that comped with them had 6 people that were cleaning the equivalent square feet or more. So then it was, well, that contract, when it's up, it would make sense to reevaluate that contract and reduce it based on the number of personnel that would take to clean the buildings. But when you do have the buildings cleaned, or you do this is an idea how this could be rotated. So some of those ideas are transferred. So the idea of this model was to kind of piggyback on our operating levy discussion last year, when Superintendent Selk got there and said, hey, school board, I'd love to be able to run a referendum with you outside the chute, because that would really get me involved in the community and really, really well liked right away. So I can go into my rookie year and really, really feel no pressure. But Superintendent Selk said, let me take this next year and get to know the budget and get to know where we have pressures, what are we feeling. What this model does, or what these procedures do, is takes that a next step and says, okay, Superintendent Selk, now you've had a half year to get to know your district. Now let's learn more about your district, and let's compare those to others to see how you're spending money, so that maybe in the event, at one point in time, I think we were talking maybe asking for another 480, was it 480,000 on the operating levy? Maybe by doing this exercise, we could say, well, you know what? Here's where our needs are. Here's where we're spending, and maybe this is what we need. And maybe it's not only less than the 480, but maybe it's far south of the 480, and yet with some ideas, shared ideas with the person that provides that services with our group. You can use this then as kind of a guiding document to say, hey, this is really the meat and potatoes of, if you are going to have to ask for more dollars, these are the reasons why, and this is what our competition's doing.
Mike, does it, you talked about a lot of different areas. I'm curious about, will it look into our instruction? Staff, curriculum, those types of things, how we're spending our money around instruction, because that's the bulk of our expenses.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it'll break it up by, we use the object codes developed and break it up into, let me tell you, the category is we focus on regular instruction, instructional support, pupil support, and student transportation are the couple of the categories that I didn't mention.
Okay.
But we had one, so I like to use Blue Earth Area School District. They had a $4 million fund balance several years ago, and it got driven down to $2 million in 3 years. They obviously had a high out-migration of students, and they were running a block schedule. So their block schedule was one of the is the most expensive schedule to run, but it gives the students the most opportunities for services from you, the district. So we went down there and had 56 staff members in the boardroom, and they were not happy, and they heard about what our presentation was and proposed and what have you. And we walked through that night of $1.2 million worth of cuts over the course of 2 years. And I have a vehicle that has a Virginia dealership plate on it, Virginia, Minnesota, up north. And I thought that all 4 tires would be slashed in the church parking lot across the street from the school. And the 50 out of 56 of those people embraced us, hugged us, and thanked us for the time, because they could see the cuts were not just occurring in the classroom, but they were focused on the entire system and what we did to bring about efficiencies across the entire budget of that school district. So they embraced that. They talked to the school board, and we could not believe the warmth reception that we left to. That they thought that was pretty neat. And that school district now, with ESSER dollars, as of Monday morning, has a budget of $5 million reserved. They've managed to right the ship in a hurry. They got a few kids back after COVID, and it's been a real success story down on I-90 in the southern part of the state.
And true or not, Mike, and I believe it's true, but I'll let you respond. This adds a level of transparency for our community and for our taxpayers that that we are looking very closely at how we spend our money, and we're making adjustments, or propose we'll make adjustments as needed. But it also might prove that what we're doing is pretty darn good, and we're getting a pretty good bang for our buck in how we're doing things right now.
Absolutely. Foley, Minnesota is a real success story in central Minnesota. They are not having budget problems. They hired us once they heard about what we were doing. They weren't a Baird client, and they hired us to walk through there so they could do just that, Todd, that they could walk through and say, look, these are the amount of course offerings you have when you come to Foley. These are the successes we're having because we do this, and here's how we compare to a few of our neighbors and other schools like us across the state. So they use that model not to cut the budget, but to reinforce with the public, to be able to say, hey, these are the good things that are going on in your school district, and it's reinforced when we compare ourselves to others. So yes, this there will be some things that will be things that you may say, oh, that's very interesting, or I didn't think to look at it that way. But the whole goal is to try to make sure that you're as efficient, as effective as possible, and delivering services that are going to make a difference not only in your community, but let's face it, since open enrollment, when I left high school, open enrollment started, and your competition is not only private and homeschool, but across the globe. And so in order to compete with that, you have to be able to tell You have to be able to tell people that you're doing things the right way.
Thank you.
So if we sign up for this, Mike, and you guys, go through everything, will you provide us with, recommendations, I guess?
Absolutely. So you'll get a report that lays out these 7 categories, and it'll lay out where you're spending your money versus others, and then the recommendation will be if you need to write yourself in one of these areas, then there will be several recommendations underneath. Absolutely. So it may be that, hey, if you need to make, we had one where Dr. Lager, this person has the licensure and the capabilities of doing X, Y, and Z. Make that a 0.2, a 0.4, and a 0.4 part of that position, and then move this over. It might be something like that. It might be curriculum based that, well, you don't have it, do you have enough kids are the amount of services you're providing in your elementary, are those pupil units paying for the services you're offering? It kind of runs the gamut. Is your, like Thief River Falls, okay, they're having trouble. They were having trouble finding custodians. Well, they had, I want to say, I'll pull a number out. They had 27 custodians in their comparable districts, maybe had 19 to 21. Well, the recommendation is to drop down to 19 to 20, but the corresponding recommendation was you need to pay those folks X amount of dollars more an hour in order to retain them. So you're reducing the number of people that you have, but you want to retain good people, so this is what you need to do in order to match that. So yes, you'll get a written report, you'll get a presentation plus a written report of ideas, and then follow-ups as we move through the budget years. As we move forward, you then have a resource to keep talking about this, to keep providing comparables and what have you.
Could you lay out a timeline for this kind of work? Let's say we enter into agreement with you and first of the year comes now in a couple of weeks. What might be a timeline for us to get that proposal or that recommendation piece back to us?
So I get an update of the UFARS tape from the state of Minnesota sometime between January 15th and January 30th. So we can already do the comparisons with the fiscal year 21 data and back, but we'll want to do years with the 22 more than likely. So we will have already started that endeavor with the 21 data to determine comps, and then we would turn that around relatively quickly to give you the big picture, so that we can we can request when the comps are agreed upon, the comparable districts, that we roll up our sleeves, send them requests for data to match your data, so that we could say, okay, this is how their district's set up versus your district, so we can start doing that deep dive. That takes about 3 weeks. So it's a pretty quick process. You got 2 holidays in each of January and February, but the goal would be we would be giving that presentation pretty close to the end of the first quarter of the new year.
Do you find other districts receptive to providing you this information?
We have not had a problem at all. We may have to request 3 or 4 times and with different people, but no, we haven't had it. We've usually gotten it because we put it in a format that we look up as much information as we can, and then what we can't find, we ask. And usually it's like a contract, or what's your negotiating group made up of. So it's documents that they already have that can be scanned and sent over.
It's up to us.
All right, anyone have any additional questions for Mike?
What was the dollar amount for the service?
The full package is $10,500.
You had mentioned ongoing support, basically, with the other services that we contract with you. And is that, could you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, as Todd knows that you haven't had a bill from us since he's been on board. So we run our shop as kind of open for questions, and we transfer that. Since we helped you with the service, we've got the data, and we help other districts with comparable data. We will assume that we would be open for questions and continue that. Now, if you wanted to say, okay, like Blue Earth area, for instance, we were working on those cuts over a 2-year period. So then we said that second year of the engagement, we're always available for phone calls, and if you want to update a report or what have you, we would agree to a future price. So we come back and say, okay, if you want to continue this service or want us to do a deeper dive in a specific area, we come back with. We talked about a magazine subscription between the person that does this on behalf of my company. It's somewhere around $2,000 to $2,500.
And with the districts that you've worked with, how long has it taken them to right size to some of your recommendations?
Most of them have been right size. The ones that have listened and reacted have right sized very, very quickly within the first year. I had a little concern with districts 10 and 11 in that we showed them where they were spending their money not so wisely. And 2 board meetings later, we looked at their agenda, and they were hiring 6 new people in the areas that we said they could work staffing differently. So usually the message is heard, but sometimes when a group is spiraling, it needs to get reinforced. So we're kind of watching that one from afar and trying to help them out. They have a very large changeover coming on the school board and a brand new superintendent. So I have a hunch there's a little bit more of politics going on than just making some hard decisions on the budget and people.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Mike, we can sign you off here. I will give you a jingle tomorrow where we're headed.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
All right, thanks, Mike.
We're looking for further discussion on this.
Yeah, if you have any further discussion.
Yeah. One thing Mike said was, he was presenting to one school board as far as recommended cuts or to save money, but I would say that's not what we're looking at by any means. We're just looking at how we're spending our money per district compared to other districts same size. And with his recommendations, when those come about, I mean, you have to the board to follow those or not. But I think Mr. Selk had brought up a couple of good points too, is that, hey, maybe we are doing things real good here. And that's just, some reinforcement when we go to the public here in the near future on how we're spending our money as well. And thinking about, being fiscally responsible and comparing ourselves to others and making those changes as we go out to the public. I think that's a powerful message too.
Wasn't there different packages available?
Yeah, there was like a 3-phase
Yeah.
or 4-phase system. Phase 1, 2, and 3 is $3,500. And then phase 4, which is where they examine the comparable districts by object code and help the district assess where we get the recommendations. That's the 4th phase, which is, that portion of it is
That's
7,000.
That's the deep.
That's the bulk of it, the
Yeah.
deep dive.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be a useful tool as we go into this operating referendum thing. If nothing else, to have, some additional information that we can share if needed.
And you said it was 3 tiers.
4 tiers.
There's 4 tiers and they combined,
500
I'm sorry?
to the 10,500.
Yep, they combined phase 1, 2, and 3. They have a price of $3,500, and then phase 4 is 7,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the Baird financial proposal with 4 phases for $10,500.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Director Ware, seconded by Director Manicki, to approve the Baird financial proposal as presented. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion is approved.
Hey, just a quick point of order with 6.2, that was an action item, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's what,
So, do you want a motion to refer to LTFM?
yeah,
Okay, so
just for clarity's sake.
6.3.
It was 6.3, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yep, 6.3.
So I'll make that motion to refer to LTFM.
All right.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Director Ware, seconded by Director Munter to refer the approval of the ICS proposal to the LTFM committee. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that is approved as well. Thank you, Director Ware. All right, 6.5. It's a motion for the final approval of the 2022 payable 2023 levy certification for the amount of $2,240,447.61. Saw the proposal earlier in our Truth and Taxation meeting from Mr. Holheisel. You have anything else to add, Superintendent Sal?
I'll make a motion to approve, final approval of 2022 payable 2023 levy certification for the amount of $240,447.61.
Second.
A motion by Director Ware, seconded by Director Marcus, for final approval of the 2022 payable 2023 levy certification as presented. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion is approved. Is our TIF presentation? I don't think they showed up this evening.
No, our TIP presenters are unable to join us with reschedule and family situation and concert and other things, so. The only other piece that I can add to the information that was sent to you in the packet, the TIP has been approved at the city council level. Learned yesterday, yesterday, that the city council still has final authority, but they will be looking, as it's proposed, it's a 26-year TIF, which seems like forever, right? They will be looking at reducing that TIF period of time to something around 10 years, which obviously is significant from a school district standpoint, from everybody that's a taxing entity in the area. So I asked Cassie, when is that finalized? And that's to be determined. But the city council is looking to reduce the number of years for that TIF. I don't know, Dustin, if you've got more information than that as well.
They approved it for 26 though.
They approved it for 26, but they can reduce it.
That's right in the thing. that
Yeah.
you go for.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Cassie said the same thing, that they're gonna try to reduce it to 10.
Do they have a time frame for
I don't,
reaching that?
I don't-
It actually depends on how the tax money can come in.
Right. Yeah. And 10 years would be very similar to what they've typically done with TIF, other TIF projects in the past. So really, again, no action needed by the board, just simply informational.
If anybody has questions about the county auditor, it's exceptionally good at explaining it. It will take time.
Moving on, 7.0 reports, elementary principal report, Mr. Bushy.
Yes, item number 1 is enrollment, and I currently have some changes for that. Right, as presented on the 15th, we had 315 K through 6, 374 total pre-K through 6. But just in the last few days, we're looking at adding 4 new students. It'd be 1 kindergartner, 2 first graders, and a 3rd grader. More recently today, we had a registration for 2 students. So that would make it the 4. So that's what we're looking at, starting at after Christmas break, is adding 4 students. Any questions on enrollment? Item number 2, reading corps. We host reading corps in our building. We have for many years. Last year we had 2 tutors. This year we only had 1 because we didn't have any applicants to fill the 2nd. We recently had an applicant. An interview was conducted, and the offer was made to Chuck Sturr, and it was accepted pending a background check. And his start date, it does say, I put in there January 16th, but that's when he starts training. So it'll be like 2 weeks of training. So that will begin probably beginning of February, which is a great addition. Because currently right now our 1 reading corps person, we definitely have a waiting list, watch list that this person could work with. So that'll be greatly appreciated having that person step on. With that, that's all funded through AmeriCorps. So we just pay every year, we pay like a site administrative fee. Doesn't matter how many we have. So that is no cost to the district. Adding this person on board through AmeriCorps. Item number 3, just a playground update. Our new trolleys for the zip line was installed on November 21st. Playground is fully functional and operating as it should. So that is a good deal.
Did he go outside today?
We did not go outside. No, I won't go into cold weather. That could be a slippery slope.
Literally.
Right. Christmas concert for 1st and 2nd graders were held on December 8th. Great performances by those grade levels, 1st and 2nd. And that was again on December 8th. We did have an afternoon show at 12:30 and then an evening show at 6:30. Both were very well attended. Great performance from the kids. Big thank you to Mrs. Konishny, and a special thank you to Barry Hansen, who played piano for that, and all the teachers, support staff that were involved in that evening. It was great. They did a great job. First time in a few years that we were able to host a normal concert within our walls. So and that brings me to tonight. We have a 4th through 6th grade choir tonight in the main gym, starting at 7 o'clock. So highly encourage all of you to attend. And that's just not 4th through 6th grade. That's junior high. I gotta get this right. Is it junior high choir and junior high band?
No band.
No band. Okay. Choir. I thought there was a band slipped in.
And high school choir.
Senior.
Okay. Senior choir. I'm sure you have part of that in your report. Upcoming dates there, you see on December 14th, I will say that was postponed due to weather. So we did not host that staff flex session because we were not in session. That was an e-learning day. So we'll look at rescheduling that. But for that day, for that hour flex session, we were going to have a mandatory reporting presentation and then a drug awareness presentation. So we'll look at rescheduling that moving forward. Again, December 20th, choir concert. December 22nd, we have our annual elementary sing-along. I will say today I rescheduled that for tomorrow, just in case there's some weather issue. Hopefully not, but the last thing we want is to miss something like that. And then I also mentioned to the staff to have their Christmas parties tomorrow, just in case.
You put pressure on me.
Yeah, no pressure, but man, if our kids don't get their party, I'm getting more pressure.
Actually, that should take pressure
No
off.
rescheduling the five.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no rescheduling the final phase.
True.
That's supposed to take place during the sing-along tomorrow. But it's rescheduled for 1:15 tomorrow, 1:15 in the afternoon. Just listed the dates of our break, December 23rd to January 2nd. January 16th, we have a staff development day. We have a speaker presenter, Anton Troyer, coming in. Well-known presenter, author, speaker in regards to American Indian ed programs. So he'll present to all of us. And then after that session is done, we have curriculum research review to go on in the afternoon after that is complete. And then January 18th is the end of our quarter two. Everything's moving so quickly. We're just moving right along, which is great. One thing I do want to mention in regards to the holidays, we didn't had our staff annual fundraiser. I didn't make that a part of my report. Usually we did silent auction. This year we did it different. We had raffles. So staff would put, it was $5 ticket for a ticket. You put your name in for, one was baked goods. Help me out, what else was there? Baked goods. Each week we had, different baked goods. I thought there was a blanket in there too, homemade blanket, other thing. Anyway, we raised $830. It was the highest amount that we raised in all the years that I've been here. So thank you to everybody for participating.
And that money went where?
That goes for the holidays for families.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna say it's Christmas. That's what it is. Students of the month for November, kindergarten, Zoe Hansen, Carson Norby, first grade, Megan Lansford, Lindsay Lysing, Julian Heller, Anthony Larson. Second grade, Layla Olson, Diane Lansford. Third grade, Shay Berkeley and Lincoln Rendall. Fourth grade, Evelyn Anderson, Greta Teichen. Fifth grade, Nora Larson, Thomas Mahold. And in sixth grade, Caden Woolheater and Mackenzie Renna. So big thank you to those students. Job well done. So, any questions?
Just make sure we get video of the pie.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be.
Your social media account should have that on. All right, moving on. High school principal report, Mr. Donarski.
Yep, as far as enrollment numbers, you can see at most of those, we did not change from the month of November to December. And so my math is correct. We're at 275 in the high school. Over the duration from August when we opened up till now, we're probably at like a -5, right? Like we've gone from 280 to 275. On December 5th, I was in attendance at the Minnesota School Violence Symposium. In this, you may or may not have received an email about this because this is open to school board members, all administrative levels, things of such. I was fortunate to go down there and attend. Part of my wanting to go down there and attend is being a new principal. I don't want to say that safety is our primary concern because education of our students is our primary concern, but safety is certainly the next thing in there. And being new, and you know, I feel like I have a good feel for the Fosston community in a sense that it's a safe community, right? But at the same time, we've got the best law enforcement in town. But at the same time, I just wanted to know is what we're doing here, kind of goes back to what you were just discussing, is what we're doing here right? And how can we prove that, if you will? And so a lot of the conversation from the presenters, it's two professors from down in the Twin Cities that have accumulated a lot of data over probably the last 6-7 years. And talking about how, you can't just simply use that stereotype of what does a school shooter look like, if you will. And it talked about a lot of the other criterias of things. And of course, they've gone through, they've interviewed a lot of the individuals that have been involved in school shootings, from the actual person pulling the trigger to family members to victims, family members, and so on and so forth. And so some of my takeaways from that is, you know, their main emphasis, which again probably isn't earth shattering, but it's just the mental health piece. And a lot of their data that they provided showed statistics from pre-COVID to post-COVID, and what a huge uptake there is since coming back from COVID. And a lot of it, again, goes back to that mental health piece of things, with, you know, again, uptakes of depression and suicides and so on amongst student population. Other things, of course, that, you know, primarily the threat comes from within the building. It's, you know, somebody from within our student population. And so, which ties back to, you know, we need to have that awareness of the mental health piece of our students and that connection piece. And so, and again, the relationship with local law enforcement, and that relationship, of course, is that student relationship with local law enforcement. And, you know, our city police does a great job. All of them are coming through the building at various times throughout the week, and to connect with kids, and it's a great opportunity that way. Some of the things that we're doing, and this is what I say, that kind of came back to reinforcing what we're doing and giving me some peace of mind of what we're doing. You know, we have an action plan in place in case there were to be a school shooting or a threat. We have an online anonymous reporting. You know, when I came back from the symposium, this is one thing that Ms. Hansen and I talked about, is how do we up what we have? And right now, or currently what we had, or excuse me, prior to that, what we had was in issues of bullying and such. And now we upped it to where it's more of the anonymous, what do you know that other students are talking about? Because again, using their words is snitches get stitches, right? And so they're afraid to come forward. So we've upped that to where now we have that opportunity for kids to, you know, share information. Again, law enforcement presence, building security, some of those things that we've recently done as well with building security, of course, is making sure that all of our cameras are functioning. We're repairing some of the doors within the building so we can make sure that we don't have people entering when they're not supposed to. Todd, Dan, and I went through threat assessment, must have been back in August as part of our training. And again, that was something that both these professors talked about, as well as the importance of having some type of threat assessment in place. And so those are some of the great takeaways that I got from that. Moving on to the next item, the master schedule for 23-24 is in the process, early phases. And so Mrs. Hansen has released to all staff the course outlines to see if staff have any changes that they want to implement, or look at possibly implementing other elective classes that they'd like to teach. And so Ms. Hansen, Lana, and Todd and I met last week to just kind of, primarily for Todd and I, to get kind of a better idea as to how the schedule comes together and different things like that. What can we look at doing differently, and how can we be a little more efficient with things as well, and offering what our students want to have. And so it's right around the corner for, you know, work in progress for us. Other things Dan already kind of mentioned there, as well as our December 14th flex date, which is postponed, but we did have Zach Folkert, who was going to come in and do a drug awareness piece for us as well. Next item is September 1st, or semester for 1, excuse me, for our online college students is come to an end already as well. And so I've gone through the process of getting students registered for semester 2. And then lastly, as Dan mentioned already too, our Christmas concert for tonight.
Thanks, Mr. Donarski. Superintendent report, Mr. Selk.
Yeah, I'll be really quick here. It's in front of you. MSBA and MASA, and I maybe just back up. Thank you for meeting individually with me, and I shared some of the same information with you at that time. But some of the platform pieces from both the MASA and MSBA committees, our agencies, are significant funding for education on the formula. There was some talk of 5 and 5. I don't know if we'll ever realize that, but that would be significant dollars on the formula. Special ed cross subsidy continues to be a discussion point. Really looking to increase LTFM money to coming at from a premise of school safety, secure entrances, some of that type of thing, and retrofitting bathrooms with some of the different things that are happening within our society and the privacy piece of bathrooms and that type of thing. So looking for some extra dollars on the LTFM. And there is some talk, and I don't know how significant it is, but at least there is some discussion about it, of basically the state allowing school districts to renew their existing levy without a vote.
It's been in the process for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. So we'll obviously be keeping an eye on those things. And I should have added as well, the MREA, rural education, share some of these same platform things. Transportation director interviews were on Friday and yesterday. We'll speak to that here on the main agenda in a little bit. Tina's position will be posted before Christmas break. It was posted yesterday. And thank Tina for putting that together. We gave her some, we tweaked a few things on there, but that position is posted. We were scheduled to have that big basketball doubleheader last Friday. Didn't work out, but I think January 20th, I want to say, is another doubleheader with Fertile. So that will, the Essentia piece where they were going to serve dinner and taco in a bag and have some games, et cetera, between games and at half times, et cetera. That will happen here later in January. You guys know there's a Christmas concert tonight? There is, and we're getting close. I think we'll get out of here on time to get there. I've been appointed to the Public Safety Committee by the mayor, and we had a meeting last Friday. Just an interesting meeting, I thought. Just talking about some of the things that are important in our community. Chief Manicki actually made a presentation on the 1-year basic anniversary of the police department being reestablished in the city of Fosston. So it was a very interesting meeting, and Dan actually is on that committee as well, and I think we meet quarterly for that. A couple Fridays ago, I met with the new Hugo CEO and owner. She came to town with a contingent, and I mean contingent of people that work for Hugo's, and she was really impressed with the reception she got from Fosston. And she and I got a few moments aside, are together aside from the rest, and she's very much interested in partnering with the school district. So I think that will be a very beneficial situation for us moving forward. Tomorrow we are hosting this in the superintendent's office. Don't let it suggest that the superintendent did a lot to put this together, but it is in the superintendent's office, a Christmas open house, and we'd love for you to stop by and have coffee and cocoa and goodies and such. Through the holiday break, all district offices, our buildings and offices will be closed beginning at 1 p.m. on Thursday, December 22nd. The high school office and the elementary office will remain closed throughout the break, opening again on January 3rd. The district office, superintendent's office, will be open December 27th, 8, and 9, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's my report.
All right. Thanks, Superintendent. So we'll try to wrap up so you can go finish your baking tonight.
Yeah, right. There you go.
All right, moving on, 8.0 personnel is to approve the hire of Kayla Heller as a long-term sub.
Dan, you want to just speak to that quick?
She will be taking over Mrs. Halber's kindergarten room.
A kindergarten room.
What's that?
She'll be taking over a kindergarten.
A kindergarten room for Mrs. Halber while she is out.
No identification needed. She's a long-term sub for us.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Motion to approve the hire.
Second.
A motion by Director Christian, seconded by Director Munter to approve the hire of Kayla Heller as a long-term substitute in a kindergarten room. Is there any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion's approved. Moving on, 8.2, Transportation Director Discussion.
Yeah, so we as stated earlier, interviewed Friday and Monday, and from that, we're in a position to make an offer to one individual. But before we do that, I wanted to bring before the board just some background on what I will be requesting as a salary range for this individual. First of all, it is a 12-month position, benefited as our other 12-month employees are. That's a whole host of benefits that are really attractive and make a position in our district very attractive for people that would seek employment with us. But we are ready to make an offer to a person that I think has significant interest in us as well. But we want to make a fair offer to him, but also fair to the district. So in trying to determine a potential salary or salary range, I looked at some of the stuff that we're currently spending money on, and Tina was gracious enough today to pull some numbers for me. I'll be seeking approval from the board to offer in the range of, say, $49,000 to $52,000. And question came today, which is a really fair question, and it's a good question, is that new money? And that's a yes and no answer. Some of it is new money, but some of it is not. Currently, we have an existing person that's, besides driving bus for us, heads up some of our transportation duties for us, and that comes into about $18,000 a year that we pay that individual additional to his bus driving duties. Also, you're well aware of the death of one of our bus drivers earlier this school year. That position right now is currently being filled on a substitute basis. This new position that we would offer the new director would take over that position. So that isn't new dollars. That position has to be filled by someone. And in round numbers, again, that's one of our shorter routes. Tina, I understand, right? Yeah. Ballpark there around $16,000. So between the two, there's $34,000 that we're already spending. And then if we have a salary range of $49,000 to $52,000, we're looking at $15,000 to $18,000 additional spending for this new position. As stated in previous meetings and as taking direction from our transportation committee, we believe that this is a necessary step. We believe it's a good step for our district. We believe that it also will help shape some future decisions and future movement potentially for this department. All on an idea of being as efficient as we possibly can and offering the best service that we can. So I'd be looking, the administrative recommendation is to approve a salary range of $49,000 to $52,000 for this position, of which upon approval, if it is approved, I would be making an offer tomorrow to an individual.
Todd, is this individual or individuals, how about mechanic skills? I know
Some level of mechanic skills, yep. Big belief that they could handle all of the routine things, and even further with some potential training or someone to show them the way. The particular person right now that I'm leaning towards shows great initiative in all areas of his work. One of his references called him a home run. Said, yeah, so we're encouraged by that.
Do you want a motion for a range, or would you just rather have a cap, not to exceed? So,
Okay, that's either is fine.
What gives you the best negotiating area?
Either is fine. Just a cap would probably suffice as well, up to X. Yeah.
This was a goal for transportation too. Can we get this?
Yeah, this is a goal, and I think this will help in the long run with some of our driver issues and shortages and routes. I think it's a win-win, so.
I'll make to approve salary up to $54,000.
Okay.
I'll give you enough wiggle room.
Mm-hmm. I won't start there. But,
Second.
We have a motion by Director Ware, seconded by Director Christian, to approve a salary cap on the new transportation director position at $54,000.
I don't know if we want to call it a cap,
Or
because,
up to,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed, yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll approve not to exceed amount for the new transportation director salary at $54,000. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion is approved.
Thank you.
9.0 educational, nothing. Operational, 10.1 ASEC
Yeah.
resolution.
So we're a member of the ASEC, Area Special Education Consortium, might be what that acronym stands for. 11 school districts, and on a annual basis, there's a resolution that states, and I probably should have made a copy of it, but it's just a lot of legalese. The Board of Directors of the Area Special Education Cooperative, I'm a board of director. All the areas, the superintendents that make up the 11 districts are the directors of, or the board of directors there. At the October 18th, 2022 meeting, passed a motion to spend federal flow-through IDEA Part B, Section 611, IDEA Part B, Section 6.19, preschool, low incidence, Part C, American Rescue Plan, Part B. It's all these flow-through dollars that come from the federal government come into the ASEC, flow through to the districts. Therefore, be resolved that Todd Self be appointed the official representative of Independent School District number 601, Fosston, Minnesota, empowering him to spend the federal flow-through IDEA, and then it lists all those funds again. Through the Joint Powers Agency of Area Special Education Cooperative, East Grand Forks, Minnesota. So we're just looking for approval of that resolution. And we need board chair, board clerk, and board witnesses to sign that. We're done.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Director Christian, seconded by Director Munter to approve the ASEC resolution. The resolution will do a roll call vote. Director Ware?
yes.
Director Christian?
Yes.
Director Manicki?
Yes.
Director Munter?
Yes.
Director Marcus?
Yes.
Director Dupont? Yes. The resolution is approved. 10.2, approval of polling place.
Excuse me. So if we are, I talked to the School Boards Association, and we do need to approve on an annual basis. I'm unsure if you approved last year. It wasn't in the December minutes last year that we could find. So we're not sure if it was approved earlier or not, but if we are to have a special election outside of a general election, we need to determine a polling place for that said election. And we need a resolution identifying that. Now, I talked to the School Boards Association about this, and Gary Lee, which some of you would know that name, formerly from Fertile, but kind of second in command at the school board. He says that we should be making this part of our reorganization meeting in January so that we're good for the entire year. So even if we do it tonight, I think we should redo it again January 1, and then we're good. So we're almost a year in advance. If we've done it already, it's not going to hurt to do it again tonight, but that's how we'll move forward. So basically, School Board District 601, State of Minnesota, identifies Fosston High School as the polling place for any special election not held in conjunction with a statewide election. The only really piece, the only other piece that we have to determine is the election hours. It has to be open till 8 p.m. Start time is up to us. I'll be honest, and I know it's a lot of work for our people, and so I'm aware of that, but I think a 7 o'clock start time is preferred for people that are going to work at 8 o'clock. And potentially, I know that probably very few people work till 8 p.m. if they start at 8 o'clock, but
families, and sometimes that's the best time to get in and vote if you're a family member and have work to do. So I would propose 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Just quickly on that time, we can approve it tonight because we have to do it before the new year, but
Yeah.
then we can change it in our organization.
Yep.
meetings.
Yeah, and this is not stating that we're having an election.
Right.
This is stating if we have an election. Right. So,
Motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Director Ware, seconded by Director Marcus to approve the resolution of the polling place for special elections. We'll do a roll call vote again. Director Ware?
Yes.
Director Christian?
Yes.
Director Manicki?
Yes.
Director Munter?
Yes.
Director Marcus?
Yes.
Director Dupont? Yes, that resolution is adopted. All right, moving on, other reports, the Region 1 Joint
Yeah.
Powers election.
Tina has handed out to you a ballot. If you would complete that before you leave and leave that with Tina, we will get that information to Region 1. Basically, you're voting for up to 3 people. There's 3 people on the ballot. There's a little bio of them. No one really from our close area, maybe Moorhead, maybe Barnesville. I don't know any of the individuals involved there. That's all I have. No, I'm not. School board moving forward meetings.
Yep, need to schedule a reorganizational meeting. Preferably the first week of January.
Tuesday, we push, that's the normal, but that's everybody back from holiday and everything, so.
It'd be hard for us to put some stuff
Do
together.
we want to shoot for a Wednesday?
Or could we do it the week of the 9th?
I mean, it's as soon as possible, so I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, there's nothing.
There's no law there that we're gonna break. And then at that meeting, will we discuss future meeting schedule?
Yeah.
Okay. And we can do it that first week back, don't get me wrong, because it's,
That second week is the comp or the
oh, no, that's MSBA.
MSBA week.
Yeah,
second week is.
So we probably-
Have to do it the first week.
yeah, we do need to do it the first week.
It's simply a board thing, so
I'm open on the 4th,
that's Tuesday.
that Wednesday.
4th is the Wednesday.
Yeah, let's get it done.
Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
What everybody else.
Does that work for everyone else? I'll double check with Jacob and make sure that'll work for him.
Yeah. Tina, you got that.
All right.
All right.
We've
Lots of
covered
information tonight.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Director Christian, seconded by Director Manicki to adjourn at 7:03 PM. Is anyone opposed to that? Therefore, by unanimous consent, we are adjourned.